on summer split, like obviously win is super important, but I hope like all the EnVy teams playing like a real team, like as a 5-man. There's a like tons of good mechanical player in NA, but honestly, I don't think we have a like all like #1 mechanic players, like maybe Haku, but I think we guarantee we have a best game knowledge in NA. So if we execute it super well in stage, then I think we can be really good.
Welcome back, guys. The teams are gearing up for round 2 of Team EnVy versus Immortals. And in a surprising outcome for game number 1, if you'd ask most people, if you'd ask 90% of people based on that fan vote, EnVy took game number 1.
Yeah, that is true. EnVy, he talked about team play. They definitely had team play. It's interesting that he also shouted out Hakuo there as maybe one of the very best mechanical players for support. And he definitely has been. And the bottom lane together was hugely important in that last game. As we said, you know, Apollo constantly making plays, and he was even making solo kills onto the enemy mid laner on multiple occasions. But the duo really making their presence felt on that team. See if that can be true again in this one, because the Immortals bottom lane, as I've talked about, you know, has been good thus far, but completely outclassed there.
And both of these bottom lanes going from the start of spring split earlier this year into what we're seeing now in summer split have been a story of growth. They started off, neither one of them was making huge waves in terms of what they were accomplishing and what they were doing. But as time's gone on, they've steadily improved themselves. They've steadily had better and better performances. And now we're seeing things like Apollo solo killing Pobelter more than once as Varus versus Ahri. That's very unusual.
Definitely unusual. The other unusual thing, you know, Lyra on his Nidalee, that was super successful. We've come to really expect a lot from Lyra, right? The bar for Lyra has been top-notch for quite a while here, and he definitely continues to deliver for these guys. So I kind of agree with Seraph. As long as this team EnVy does play as a 5-man squad and they can utilize this game knowledge that he keeps referring to, I think they can actually do a lot of climbing in the summer split. So let's see where they can go. Immortals, though, they can still definitely recover from this.
Absolutely.
This is just one game down here for the best-of-3 series. And a lot of it, as we said, did come from their aggressive plays being turned around on them. A lot of these invades, you know, or going for a lot of insect moves and kickbacks there. A little bit of extra vision or a little bit of extra communication definitely goes a long way in those plays actually turning out successful.
And I feel like you've really got to make sure you never underestimate your opponents as well. Sometimes if you go up against an opponent who might not have had a very good showing in the previous split, and you're just thinking, okay, this is a matchup that we should win, let's win it quickly, you do make those overly risky plays. And if your opponents they're the ones paying attention to everything, they're the ones playing it as safely and properly and methodically as possible, they'll turn it around on you. And EnVy did just that against Immortals in game number 1.
Drawing Nidalee bans. Lyra is the only guy going to be able to do that. And if you see a Nidalee ban, then I would definitely expect the rest of the jungle bans to come through. No surprise here. Shen has been big for both teams as far as those cross-map plays. So pretty much all top bans so far, except for that wild card of the Nidalee being thrown in. 100% respect to Lyra.
Yep. Taking the LeBlanc away from Pobelter as well. They don't want to allow him to play that and do the kinds of crazy things that we know he's capable of doing on that champion. One more ban left in the arsenal for Immortals, and it will be Talia, keeping Pyrion off of that. Just like you mentioned before game number 1, he's effective on it. They want to make sure that they don't get to see exactly how effective.
All right, well, continued focus here onto the Karma. Also going to stay true. Team EnVy will first pick this one for Hakuo and set them up for a strong lane phase once again.
Karma, the shield potential, the damage potential in lane, the kiting potential, the champion does a lot. I mean, she has had so much presence in the professional scene for so long now. She's just one of those staple champions that it feels always somewhat good to pick her. Even first pick, you don't know what's coming at you at all, Karma can always be solid.
All right, they are going to break up the combo, though, stealing away Apollo's Varus this time around. If they really want to still have that super strong lane phase for their bottom lane, EnVy still have the option of going Caitlyn or something like that. But a lot of takeaways here, and Flame maybe will be piloting the Galio again, but as always, can be flexed.
Lyra jumping back and forth between a couple of champions there, finally deciding on that Lee Sin. We talked in game number 1, Kobe. You ban it away from him, you take it away from him. Generally, you don't like to put this in Lyra's hands.
I mean, yeah, you ban away the Nidalee, but then he's going to take up the Lee Sin and show you how it's done. See if he can get off those early game plays we're used to seeing from him, or if Immortals can turn this one around. I would like to see some continued faith in the playmaking from Olay, though. Even though that Blitzcrank was definitely a flop, Thresh is so much more versatile, and that's why we see so much more Thresh than we do Blitzcrank.
I mean, Blitzcrank, there's one thing you do with Blitzcrank. You pull somebody. Thresh can hook people, you can save allies.
You can knock them up, you can silence.
You can deny.
More dynamic.
Okay, fine. You can knock up and you can silence, but there's so much more dynamic interaction and defensive and utility-based capability with Thresh as a pick. So we'll have to see what avenues open up for those guys, switching that pick out for this one. As Fizz and Syndra both banned away in the second part of the ban phase, neither side with a mid laner means both sides paying homage and respect to ban those champions out.
Yeah, Fizz has really been funneled into the mid lane now as a mid lane assassin because those nerfs to the base AD and more scaling for AP, it's threatening. And if you do start to see bans like that, then you're thinking that Immortals want to run in one of these control mages for Pobelter this time around in the mid lane. Maybe they don't want to do Ahri again, and they'd rather put him on the Orianna this time around since Syndra is already banned out.
Well, remember, they do have the last pick of the entire draft, so they can just save that mid lane for the last one if they want to, try to counterpick it instead. They will go with the safe one, the Orianna, exactly. He called it. I mean, I called the Blitzcrank. I got to celebrate. You call the Ori, you get to celebrate.
Oh, you got a big brain. Good job. All right. Ahri is
on the other
the
side,
counter, though, yeah. So we get to see it again, and this time, Pyrian going to try his hand at the assassinations. Pobelter, died to the enemy Varus several times. We'll see if Cody's son will be able to get himself some solo kills onto Pyrian Ahri this time around.
Maybe. I told you. I think it was actually you that I was casting with when I talked about this last time. I love a series where you get to see
reverse matchups.
The reverse matchups to see who really is the better mid laner at that matchup. I mean, if you can win it on both sides, that just means that you've mastered the matchup better than your opponent has.
Especially if it's one like this, right? Where there are trade-offs for both these mid laners. If Orianna is able to farm well and does not die to the, Ignites, level 6, Ahri going for jungler-assisted ganks on the mid lane, then she'll have a very big effect on the team fights.
By the way, pretty sure that's new Rek'Sai.
New Rek'Sai is enabled, I believe.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that,
this is
the 7-11. We changed the patch to the 7-11, the big gulp patch, as Jack called it.
Oh man, I got a lot of mixed feelings about the new Rek'Sai.
Yeah, so do I.
Because I've been hearing a lot of complaints, and I've only got a couple of games so far on it, but especially the ultimate and how easy it is for the ultimate to miss on its own, plus people to be able to dodge the ultimate, whether they dash or they're even just moving slightly quickly.
Yeah. Walk faster than a slowed pace.
I'm super hyped for it, though, to see if Smithy can get it rolling, because this new Rek'Sai is intended to be more damage oriented and less control oriented and less tank.
No AoE knock-up tank spam bot in the late game. Instead, it's more of a fighter type character. But exactly what you mentioned with the ultimate being able to miss so easily. I know I've seen a few different montage clips of new Rek'Sai trying to ult people as they casually walk to the left and it doesn't find its target, but maybe Smithy can turn this on and make it work, bring Immortals up to a 1-1 series.
And here's the thing, you start to see the team comp come together, and you're wondering, where is the ball delivery? Where is the Galio point, of his heroic entrance going to be? And it looks to be all on Smithy. So if this Rek'Sai can get off the ground at a decent level, then he can have the freedom to really dive in. He's going to have Orianna's shield on him, the possibility of Thresh pulling him back out if things go wrong. And then also the damage reduction from Galio's ultimate, if they're able to get to the team fighting phase, and they don't really collapse early on, as teams sometimes do against Team EnVy, then you can definitely see the parts coming together here for Immortals.
At the same time, he is that lone catalyst for getting all those other tools into the enemy lines. If Smithy's not where he's supposed to be, or he gets shut down early, could be very problematic for these guys. A few blows being traded back and forth sort of all over the map at level 1 here. You saw Lyra and Smithy messing with each other earlier as some damage came into Pobelter mid lane, and now even bottom side, Apollo getting a volley into Cody and Olay. These two are just having a good old-fashioned.
Yeah, everybody's got the pings down. You want to protect your junglers, Raptors. If you have a bad Raptor start, then it really hurts your early game. Should be just fine, though. You know, Q from Ahri, same thing from Orianna to help on the other Raptors, and both junglers have just fine as far as the Raptor pulls have gone. Deep Ward is on the red there for Immortals, so they'll be able to see Lyra as he goes to pick up his red buff. If he goes to pick up his red buff, technically. Could do a blue side clear if he really felt sneaky about it, but
it is true.
All right, he's going to go for it. Maybe that will be some top lane focus then. We see people delay the red buffs every once in a while nowadays, so that you can have a greater effectiveness for the early game. At least with red buff, if you wait until you're already, you know, level 3 or level 4 to go collect it later, then, you know, technically you can have more time to work with it in that early stage where he's got a lot of dueling threat, you know, and he's very versatile as far as the mobility. So you can kind of delay that power and pick it up later when he wants it.
Seraph getting some decent trades down up there against Flame as Pyrian and Pobelter. Remember, same matchup from last time, just different player on different champion.
And if we're talking about, you know, red buff sides, Rek'Sai has always been good at level 3 ganking. She still is, you know, even has lower cooldowns on being able to use the tunnels more frequently. So definitely possibilities there as Smithy has done the red quadrant clear into an invade here. We'll see that the blue is gone and believe that Lyra is on bottom side.
Lyra on bottom, grabbing his own red now as Hakuo and Apollo move in to get eyes here on the enemy blue, popping that Scryer's Bloom. We'll see the ward on it as well. They're not going to hang around to try to clear anything out. Good charm from Pyrian, but not really a whole lot else to do with that. Pobelter getting the better of him in that trade.
Yeah, pushed him into turret, trying to deny some CS here. Does zone him off of that one with the Q. Nice play there, and he's not going to be able to get 4 of those range minions. Just pick up the last one, though.
Every little bit helps. It's all about just zoning them away from a couple here, a couple there, and eventually that's how you build yourself a bigger, better lead. The biggest lead right now, the 23 compared to the 16 in the top side. That advantage for Seraph on that Renekton, that powerful lane bully type of champion. I mean, Galio is a lane bully in his own right. Against some people, against other people, he's more of
farm bot,
clear
exactly.
the back wave. Exactly.
Against Renekton, I'd rather just stay away from the wave.
Yeah.
Throw out a bunch of Qs.
The only thing that a bully is afraid of is a bigger bully, and Renekton is a pretty gosh darn big bully. Galio will be keeping his distance for now as Seraph just free farms to his heart's content.
Gets even bigger when he gets level 6.
That's true.
No fair.
Literally.
Doubles in size.
A bigger gator. Lyra moving into enemy territory now, though. Double buffs on the Lee Sin, like for an extended period of time because he delayed it. Arrives there just in time as that Raptor camp is spawning to steal away some golden experience.
And that is no coincidence.
No,
right?
that wasn't
the reason everybody fights over these Raptor wards is because it's the most common start, you know, one of the most rewarding camps to take. And having known that Smithy started on it, you can always guess that it will be around, you know, that 4.5 minute mark. So he times it there with the invade. Classic Rek'Sai.
All right, here we go. 1 versus 1, quickly going to have the party crashed by Pyrian. Flash over the wall from McSmithy, getting himself away to safety. That's Pyrian's flash for Xmithy's flash, meaning Pobelter now knows that summoner spell is down on the enemy mid laner.
Yeah, it's an interesting little trade there. Smithy's actually kind of happy to trade his flash for mid lane flash. However, Pyrian is about to get level 6, and then he'll be able to route on his ultimate for that safety. Bottom lane, just a bit of a trade. Not too scrappy.
Cody getting that piercing arrow on the end. They'll take the slightly better edge in that trade now. Apollo shielded up as he backs away. Seraph rotating down towards mid lane. Pobelter's pretty far forward here.
Nice charm.
Charm finds its way on. Flash trying to get that stun. Pobelter getting away just ever so close. Lyra needs the turret. And they'll both somehow walk away. The safeguard just in time. EnVy. Whoa, that was close.
Yeah, Pyrian's able to land the charm first, getting both summoners out. You know, that's the cleanse and flash. After they see that, Seraph goes all in on this. And what a roam from the top laner. The bigger bully goes to bully your friends as well. There goes both summoners. He got the stun off as well. And Lyra goes in for execute damage. Finishes it off here. That kill. Uh-oh.
Meanwhile, bot side, 2 versus 2. Cody needs a little bit more damage onto Apollo. Won't be finding it. No summoner spells used on the side of EnVy, though. The Ignite is popped by Olay. So summoner spell advantage for EnVy, even though they are down in health.
Man, what a big turnaround for the mid lane. After, Pyrian just used his flash offensively to try and get Smithy in the jungle, and he was in a little bit of a dangerous situation, still pretty far from that level 6. The double collapse there between Seraph and Lyra, incredibly effective. And, Seraph, as soon as Lyra joined the team, Seraph was the first guy to talk about how much he loved playing with Lyra, the skills that this guy brings to the table. And, man, both of them there completing that dive. We'll see if a summonerless Orianna is the prime target next.
The best jungler I ever played with. The words that Seraph used for Lyra, but now Olay, the Thresh hooks finding their target. Hakuo, the one who's going to be initiated upon. The flash into the taunt from Flame, the damage coming through, the winds of war not quite making it happen. Seraph now going to be knocked up as Immortals try to turn this one around. Seraph will likely be brought down here. No way out. No flash available from the previous fight, and Hakuo barely surviving is the bait that EnVy didn't need, because they still end up losing their top lane.
Yes, well put.
It's almost like it was going to be good, but nah, not
well, the difference there is that Immortals jungler on the bottom side of the map. Lyra was top side counter jungling, so they were outnumbered. Even though teleports are answered, better jungler wins. Ha, ha, ha.
Pyrian coming down, trying to get some revenge here, but nope, just deciding to throw the orb into the wave instead. Apollo can farm that whole thing with a volley. Very nice, very clean. And one thing to remember about new Rek'Sai is even though that ultimate has really long range, you can only use it if you've already damaged them in the last 5 seconds.
Let's take another look here, because we're just memeing a little bit about better jungler thing. Rek'Sai is in the river when his stall starts, so it's an easy roam for Smithy to get down there, and they're able to capitalize. Here's Hakuo getting away, as he said, super low, and it looks like, if junglers were not a part of this, Team EnVy would have defended very well. But Smithy slots in, able to get the easy knock up there. And Immortals capitalizing with the kill and a little bit of map pressure.
Immortals 1-1. They've got a very slight gold lead, 300 or 400. Nothing really too crazy, but it's still a lead better than what they had earlier. Flame continuing to be pushed up underneath the turret. Still staying even in terms of CS with his opponent, though, so not really worried about playing off the back foot. Ultimate and teleport not available for him. Teleport not available for Seraph either, but ulti does appear to be ready to go. Both of these two likely telling their teams to just be very aware of those teleport timers if they decide to go for anything here on the bottom part of the map. Olay eats the arrow, more damage coming through. Sonic Wave misses, but the root is there anyway. It matters not, and Apollo will get himself onto the board. 2-1, Team EnVy.
Yeah, good restraint there. Able to give the kill over to the AD carry. Setting up Apollo once again to have a good game. Olay just a little bit deep there, no vision, and gets nailed with the crowd control. Now bottom lane overloaded with Team EnVy members.
Well, more trades in the top side, but Flame's not taking a whole lot of damage from Seraph anymore, really.
Uh-oh, nice charm from the Fog of War. I have to say, though, the top side also right now, with no vision for Flame, it's very difficult for him because he has to keep guessing where Lyra is. He hasn't shown for a good, 30 seconds on the map. Uh-oh.
Cody firing off those chains of corruption. Trying to make the moves happen here. Flash away from Apollo. Prey Seeker doesn't connect. The flash and knock out Smithy looking to finish these guys off. The ult connects. Hakuo now being chased down by the remaining members, and Immortals making a double kill.
Prey Seeker able to finish it off, and now they've got some alone time with the bottom turret. This is first turret gold as well.
But you've got to keep your eyes on Lyra and Pyrian. They're moving their way towards the bottom side, trying to stop this if they can. They will walk over wards. Turret being brought down incredibly low. It will not actually fall. Pyrian and Lyra just in time to prevent that gold from going over to IMT.
There is a ward here that sees the recall. Is Lyra...
Oh, just a little bit shallow on that one.
No shenanigans this time around. I have to say, though, again, momentum swinging back. Seraph is fine. We have to say, we're still looking for when they transition into those 5-on-5 combos. Seraph actually fairly low going for this, and Flame has him on the corner. All right, again, Smithy down bottom here with the Rek'Sai. Cody-san turns around, nails the ultimate, and sets this one up. Because Smithy doesn't get the damage there, he's not going to be able to ult to start this tower dive off, so just flashes in for it, and ults later to secure the kill. Cody-san gets him low enough that the second Prey Seeker actually feeds more gold over.
Meanwhile, topside, Flame is taken over. This is like Karate Kid, Kobe. The kid gets bullied at the start, and then all of a sudden he learns how to fight back. Seraph is not having fun anymore.
And it's because it's right before the teleport cooldowns come off there, so it's actually a really good time to get Seraph low. Unfortunately, no extra help being sent to Flame. So even though he forced him low, he's got to do it himself.
Oh, Flame not quite getting the damage he needs. Seraph with the heal, just barely keeping himself alive. You can tell how badly he wants that CS, but it's a death sentence if he goes up there.
No friends for Flame, and it's actually Lyra who visits first.
Lyra trying to grab the kill here. Sonic Wave, Resonating Strike. Seraph flashing away from the winds of war, but there comes the CC. More damage coming out, but it's not quite enough. Flame barely going to miss out on that one. Xmithie bottom side, taken low and shut down by Pyrion, who makes the rotation over the wall. And Immortals has put themselves in a spot where they're too far forward for now. The ball comes over, the orb flies out, Apollo in retreat, the volley connects, it finds its way onto multiple people. The turret goes down, Pobelter, Cody, and Olay in retreat. Seraph is alive, he's into the fight, he's looking to grab Olay, trying to get Cody. The damage comes through onto one, and Pobelter out of mana, trying to find a way to escape, but Pyrion's got his number and his money. 300 gold to EnVy's mid lane.
Oh man, what a tragedy there at the end. I think Pobelter with a little bit of a fumble as far as the mechanics go in that move down bottom. In the end, they still get the first turret gold, so the gold is pretty close. But man, I mean, it will be close after even up turrets, but all right. Two different junglers with two different focuses. Smithy has been bottom lane over and over and over. He's camping down there. So Lyra makes his way top. And Flame feels really bad for him that he did so much work up there, but Lyra writes everything. Flame comes down, or Pyrion comes down here for the roam. They kill off Smithy early on, but Cody's able to flash out and get the shield. Now, I want to take a look again at this Pobelter play because he has the ball on him, flashes into the wall, then dissonance himself and still gets charmed. Yeah, definitely not the plan that was in his head. Couple questions pretty sure there. But then it didn't matter because Seraph's able to teleport in, and Pyrion means he's be able to clean up the river kill here on a Pobelter. So things went pretty poorly there in the outcome. In the end, Immortals, though, still fairly close in gold until EnVy are able to even up that turret score.
Right. The turret standing gold is something that once you build an advantage through other means, you can equalize very rapidly. First Drake is still alive 14 minutes into the game. He is a Mountain Drake, so pretty high value on that. Teams likely will be turning their attention there very soon with turret first blood off the board. You can see Xmithie and Olay working on that Scuttle Crab.
And I am a really big fan, again, of the couple Doran's Rings into a Banshee's Veil. Pyrion doing it again. It's such a safe build right now, and it's actually quite efficient as well. So adds a little bit more threat to the Ahri, getting that spell shield in pretty quickly. Meanwhile, he's actually been delegated to the mid lane. They're going for the 1-3-1. AD carry and support shifted up to the mid lane to try and push that in and gain them a little bit of pressure around this Mountain Drake. And if they can shove in that mid lane and give the wave advantage, oh, actually, maybe a pick.
Charm of the wall, low HP on Olay, who's likely going to be brought down, but instead they turn it around, grab the kill onto Hakuo. Xmithie chasing down Lyra now. He does have his AD carry right next to him, Apollo there, but are these two in a spot that they can get away from this? Xmithie takes a little bit of damage while they kite back.
Whew, it's hard to keep track, man.
There's so much action.
EnVy went for the pick while also going for the mid lane push. So they're going for a little bit too many things at the same time. If your Ashe is mid lane and you're going for this pick, and they don't have the Ashe arrow at the beginning of it, so it gets all turned around because Immortals are clumped up in their jungle. So even though the wave was in control of Team EnVy, Immortals get the kill, and now they've got control of the Mountain Drake.
EnVy still looking like they may want to be contesting this. Here you go, Pyrion jumping in. Galio ulti comes in to protect Pobelter. Lyra wants to maybe go for a steal here, instead does not. Xmithie securing that one. Orb flies out again. Mountain Drake over to Immortals. Meanwhile, Seraph beating down the top lane turret takes that one. Objective for objective.
All right, still some to go here though, because mid lane, they're back at the pushing game. Ashe and Karma trying to get the wave into the turret. Meanwhile, Seraph all by his lonesome up there. As you said, he had no teleport to join, so just did his work on that top turret.
Seraph slashing and dashing and slicing and dicing his way all over that chicken camp, only to have the big chicken smited away by Xmithie anyway. It's the problem with trying to counter jungle when you're not the jungler. Sometimes you can just show up and say thanks for the leash and walk away. Cinderhulk and Tiamat completed on Xmithie means even though Rek'Sai's intended purpose has changed, the build stays the same as it ever was. Cinderhulk, Titanic Hydra, the Rek'Sai staple.
Yeah, she does scale really well with attack damage now, so he can build maybe a Black Cleaver has been one of the options. Upgrading his Tiamat early on into a Titanic is also a little bit of both worlds there. Get some more health, get the extra damage scaling as well, and it's probably going to be the route that he goes since he's got that Cinderhulk that synergizes quite well with a Titanic. But again, it's going to be about, can Immortals get to that mid game where they get to bring together all their little pieces of this team fight? Rek'Sai goes in with the Shockwave. Flame's going to ult on top of them, and they're supposed to land that crowd control either before to set it up or afterwards if Xmithie's down to use his flash.
And you brought it up earlier, Kobe. Xmithie is the one who has to allow these pieces to come together, and he's having a great game for himself so far. 4 kills, now looking to make it 5. Seraph with the flash into the slice and the dice. Olay's hook will not find him, and he gets away.
And as Immortals continue to look for the 5-on-5 so they can use all of their little pieces, Team EnVy are still looking for picks, but they have a lot of pick potential. Lee Sin, Ashe, and Ahri, very good at assassinating someone if an Immortals member is straggling, while the rest of them go look for a team play. Currently, though, Rift Herald might be the one to group everybody up. Ahri is in the bottom lane, so Pyrian, no way he's joining. They're making the call to trade.
Yeah, and you know Seraph doesn't want to fight this either. He has no ultimate. Likely just a free objective for Immortals, making the call to grab this one.
They're doubling down on the pushing power, too. They sent Lyra bottom lane as well. So they're going to push mid and bottom against a Rift Herald team, and we may see a race here. Rift Herald empowered push for Immortals versus 2 lanes were pushed for Team EnVy, and who's going to get the better of it? That turret is toast with the charge.
Racing against Rift Herald is pretty hard to do, Kobe.
But they had such a big lead. You know, they were racing 30 seconds in advance because it takes time to kill the Rift Herald. So it might even end up going in their favor. And it looks like it will. 2 turrets were taken.
Damage coming through. Cody's son forced to flash himself back. Hakuo keeps that tether attached until it pops. Rift Herald's going to be brought down here before she can do much of anything else.
I like that call from Team EnVy. You know, they're more pick-oriented in their composition. They also, because they were pushing earlier, got to take 2 turrets themselves, whereas Immortals, even with the Rift Herald, only got the 1, and EnVy's still able to get back and defend. So good split there, and they come out ahead as far as gold on top of it.
And what was Seraph talking about? What we saw before the game. He wants this team to work as a 5-man unit. He wants to see the team play from Team EnVy and being able to make those team-wide calls and know what to trade, say, hey, we're not fighting for this, we're doing this instead. That's what he's talking about.
As long as you take advantage of the opportunity cost of killing the Rift Herald, like it actually takes a long time to kill the Rift Herald. As long as you take advantage of that time, and you're hitting a turret, then they are actually able to get the lead and the greater value for themselves. Lyra, though, whoa, that's one big playmaking tool down.
Yeah, that's a free flash going the way of Immortals, thanks to Olay being ready with that death sentence. Lyra not having that now means he's way less threatening. No insect potential when you can't get the flash with the kick. He's going to have to find some creative ward hop pathing instead to get himself behind a value target, like Cody or like Pobelt. The A-rank game continues, though.
Yeah,
I feel like we're seeing a lot of this.
It comes down to which AD carry is going to hit their skill shot, do you think, for the long-range engage? Cody's son or Apollo?
Apollo had a lot of good chains last game. I feel like that's one of the skill shots that you see missed the most in League of Legends. And Apollo was just like, I don't know why everybody misses this thing. Hit, 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 over and over again. Constantly putting those where they needed to be.
Definitely true. Team EnVy would rather have it be a little bit more spread out of a game and, you know, try and take advantage of their extra pick potential, their extra mobility. Meanwhile, Seraph does get knocked up.
Getting into a little bit of a scuffle here with Xmithie, who getting closer and closer to that Titanic Hydra. As you can see, Seraph going for the Blade of the Ruined King second. Very damage heavy, very duel heavy on this Renekton.
Uh-oh.
Xmithie going to be stopped from taking the Lantern for now. The ward block technique
foiled.
showcased again, and he's not going to be getting out of that today. Olay now eating some damage from Tyrion as Seraph and Lyra get into position to steal away that blue buff.
Xmithie unable to get the click there onto the Lantern. Cheeky little ward there to make it even more difficult, but that is another good pickoff. As we said, EnVy that's exactly what they want. They don't want the 5v5. They don't want the Galio charging in. So they forced it a little bit there while Flame is super far top lane. And if he was going to join at that point, it would have been the teleport. Way less threatening than the ultimate coming through. So good pick for EnVy, but Team Immortals not having to give away an objective after the back of it. See about this Infernal.
Infernal, the other one of the big value drakes. We had Mountain, now we've got Infernal. Definitely an objective that you don't want to give away for free. It is a 3,000 gold difference between them. Wow, he interrupts the blast cone, and now Seraph might have been in a little danger, but he had some good slices and dices to get himself away from that.
That's a good health lead on the front line, though. Definitely a lot of value there, taking Renekton's...
But he does have TP, and he can get back to base. Apollo's got to be very
he's
careful about
ulting.
Xmithie, though.
Easy dodge.
Trying to get away from it. Xmithie can't quite get the follow-up he needs there. Apollo stepping back, keeping himself safe. As the fight starts off in earnest, the stuns and the chain damage onto Pobelter, who does go down. Tyrion makes sure of that as more damage comes out. Olay's the second to fall. EnVy now retreating, regrouping, making sure they don't go too deep on this. Cody jumped onto by Lyra. Chasing him down, the heal has to be popped. Tyrion with the flash into the charm, and his fate is sealed. 3 kills for EnVy, no death so far. Xmithie trying to go onto Apollo, but now he's put himself too far forward. One Rek'Sai is not going to do a lot against 5 EnVy members, and that is a big team fight.
And that is why so many people have problems with the Rek'Sai rework. It's very easy to dodge. Apollo just walks back the other way. Xmithie ends up whipping, and everything's out the window at that point. EnVy scramble really easily, have the kill advantage, taking down the Baron right afterwards.
Last game, Kobe, they got it at 22 minutes. This game, they're going to get it a little bit later, just shy of 24, but this is a Team EnVy that is looking way good in the mid-game compared to what we saw in Spring Split.
Yeah, let's take another look at this. So, okay, this is already after the dodge. From Apollo there. Teleport comes in. Lyra goes in for the kick, but it was interrupted there. Pobelter, though, not able to get out of the way as the kill comes through. And at that point, this is a 3 versus 5 re-engage from Immortals as Cody-san just walks up. And Lyra's happy to take that one. Pyrian flashes over, securing the advantage. And Rek'Sai so easily kited here. Xmithie went back in to try and finish it. Whoa!
Meanwhile, bottom, Seraph going after Pobelter. Hakuo here as well to try to help him. They almost get that kill, but scaring him away will be good enough to easily secure this Infernal Drake and this Tier 1 turret for the side of EnVy, who will now find themselves enjoying the luxury of another 6,000 gold lead, and they are looking like strong contenders to 2-0 Immortals right now. This is really unexpected. This Team EnVy is looking very clean today.
Yeah, and I mean, you can kind of put together the pieces, right? Spring, so much was going right for Team EnVy in the early game. They did have a problem, especially with Ninja, you know, giving back a lot of mid-game power, you know, not being able to have, you know, wards up in time for objectives or people in place in time for objectives. The objectives have come very easily for them in this game. You talked about the early Barons. Right after taking very big teamfight victories, they've been pretty clear Baron calls, right?
That's true.
I mean, you kill 4 people, 22 minutes.
There's not a question of what you're
exactly,
doing. Right?
Like, tricky puzzle to figure out.
I don't know. Should we back? Should we farm the Wolves now? Let's go get Baron.
Yeah. And they have done a very good job of getting these early leads. This is a 7,000 gold lead. Baroned up EnVy, pressing in on secondary turrets just into 26 minutes on this game.
Tyrion clearing out some wards in the enemy jungle. EnVy wants to make sure that Immortals is afraid to go into their own jungle, afraid to be cut off mid-rotation. so that it's that much more difficult for them to protect these tier 2 turrets. Baron's still up for another minute or so. Knock up from Xmithie, trying to go in on these guys. Finds it onto Lyra and not Pyrion. Remember, Rek'Sai can only knock up one target.
And the hook there was just barely out of range. Olay goes for the hook on the knocked up target, but not in range to hit Pyrion. So he lives. No counter kill here for Immortals, and the siege continues.
The volley from the Ashe in mid lane as well, popping that Banshee's Veil on Pobelter, giving playmaking potential against that mid laner if they see the opportunity to land the pick CC. 7,000 gold lead continues to build up. Seraph continuing to push bottom side. He's made his way all the way up to the base itself. The inhibitor turret taking some damage down there. As more wards are cleared out, more skill shots find their way into Immortals' health bars, and EnVy continues keeping the pressure on for at least the next 20 seconds as they finish off the last of this Baron bot.
Seraph trying to keep his pressure up in the bottom side as the 1-3-1 continues to take its toll. Defense from Immortals, though, they're holding on just barely.
They're not doing too bad. They're not doing too bad. They could be doing a lot worse.
Yeah.
Still keeping those tier 2s online means they're not completely stuck on their back foot yet, but they've still got a lot of work to do to come back from what's an almost 8,000 gold deficit. Guardian Angel also now up and running on Lyra, so it's going to be that much harder to do anything to this guy who, by the way, there's still no deaths on Lyra or Pyrion this game. The two of them have been having just a phenomenal showing, 4-0-5, 4-0, and 3, getting work done and not giving anything back to their opponents.
And again, you know, Lyra's this guy we've come to expect it from, but Pyrion had to pay his dues on the bench for a long time, almost an entire year there, and he was just grinding away at solo queue, you know, working on himself, practicing up, until he got his time to shine here on EnVy, and it's really worked out for the better. And this change early on in the season, and then you remember they already were able to take down Phoenix 1 in week 1, so looking to add another win very early into the year here for themselves and get above 500 would be a beneficial start here for the squad. Morale definitely high for them as well.
Oh, absolutely. You go from being a team who's sitting at the bottom of the standings, that's never good for morale because you're just trying to get towards that middle of the pack, prove that you're competitive with the rest of everyone else. Well, now you're going up against upper part of the pack teams and you're beating them. That's very impressive from this team. They just need to make sure that they can continue to play like this and close this game out. It's not over until the Nexus falls. You can't underestimate your opponents either. Immortals, while down, are not out quite yet. Pyrion, Lyra, and Hakuo trying to see if they can get some kind of a flank here, but it's Lyra who goes a little bit too far forward, maybe. Never mind, he is unstoppable. Grab the kill onto Cody's son. Xmithie goes down as well as they're looking to make it even more. Seraph will now be on top of Olay as Pyrion has to retreat, zoned away by the ball. Pobelter can't do a whole lot else here, and EnVy find 2 for 0.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to fight a 9,000 gold lead almost here as EnVy move in and they're looking to clean up. Inhibitor turrets will be the main objective. If they could just break this base open, might be able to end it shortly after. I mean, if they take this one, single recall would be a lot of value.
A little bit more damage onto that turret will finish it. Flame and the rest of the Immortals will hold the line for now, but how much longer is the question, Kobe? Pyrion's knocking on the top side. Got that turret down to about a quarter as well. Everything is starting to get low as now Pyrion's forced to flash.
Oh,
still gonna find it. Pyrion trying to walk out. Can he do it? He gets away. The shield from Hakuo.
Ooh, able to keep that death column 0. Spotless there for Pyrion. And as you said, I mean, this gold lead, now it's over 10,000 gold, which is just going to come back to bite you even harder. And the next return that we'll have will also be around Baron, right? 25 seconds. EnVy have a very, very clear option here to reset up the vision, couple control wards. They still have space. You can see 3 spaces in inventory with the triple stack there for Hakuo means they can just get right back on that Baron.
Absolutely.
And bait Immortals over.
Baron coming up in 5 seconds. They've already got all the wards in their inventory. That's the prime situation to get in there, force this issue, say, hey, Immortals, come get it. We'll have to see if Immortals are willing to answer that call or if they just turtle up and hope for EnVy to commit some kind of a mistake, some sort of over-aggression. as right now, it's very hard to find any sort of an opportunity. Apollo popping the Blade of the Ruined King immediately to get away from this king.
Yeah, Apollo not scared at all. He's got both summoners. Able to just get
QSS
out of
as
it.
well.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, double QSS is coming in. Actually, I didn't even notice. Lyra has one himself on top of his Guardian Angel. So
It's going to be real hard to kill that guy.
he's looking to rack up kills of his own here. Here they come. Ash Arrow is at the ready.
Got to be aware of those Banshee fails, though.
Turret extremely low as well. Pings come back to Baron for the bait. They push up the waves. Retreat back to Baron for the bait. Then they can look for the Ash Arrow through these jungle corridors, make it much easier to hit. It's all according to plan here. Good setup from EnVy.
Who's going to walk too close? Oh, the charm won't find its mark. Very, very close to dispel disaster for Immortals there as Flame eating some damage from Seraph, but gets himself back plenty of time. He does have that Gargoyle Stone Plate now, so if he can find himself a way to jump into the middle of multiple EnVy players, he can be incredibly tanky.
That is true. Team EnVy still have the vision advantage and still just return to the split push. Poe Belter, nobody's in place to defend topside. Smithy's trying to roam up there. Pyrian gets the wave all the way to the turret, and then they return to the Baron baits.
That sends this on to Lyra, who will instantly QSS it. Doesn't want to risk being initiated on right there as the rest of the team has found their way to Baron Nashor. This is the call. Immortals has to answer here or just yield it, no contest. Olay's back will be stopped by Pyrian. Baron continues to be burnt down. A little bit more damage. The smite comes in. Immortals, now their support is so very low. The stun, the damage, the knock-up. Pyrian is shut down, but they trade him away for Olay. A killing spree for Seraph. As he stays in the middle of this fight, a shockwave only onto him. Lyra looking to make the moves into that back line as Immortals have to find some way to deal with this one. Poe Belter falls. Cody Sun, the last Immortal standing. But even Immortals can die today. Cody Sun will not be walking away from this one, or will he? Hakuo tanking that turret, a little bit more damage, and Apollo gets him with the auto attack, the ace for EnVy, and they will end this game and 2-0 Immortals.
Yeah, death timers are way too long. Team EnVy going to improve to 2-1 here in week 2 of the NALCS.
Let me remind you, Kobe, the fan vote was 90-10 in game number 1 of this series, and EnVy proves that 90% wrong and has an awesome showing for themselves to start week 2 off.
Lyra on Lee Sin at 6-0-10.
What do you expect? You give the man his champion. Remember that when EnVy placed 10th in the spring split, Lyra was still first team all NALCS as a jungler. On a 10th place team, that is incredible. This guy is a jungling maniac, and you saw it showcased right there.
Yeah, we also saw some of the flaws in Rek'Sai showcased a little bit. You know, is more DPS oriented, but the ultimate there, good dodges from Apollo. Never really got to have an impactful one. And they never actually got to utilize all those pieces we were looking for. You know, the theory crafting of Rek'Sai in with the Orianna ball into a shockwave, into Galio, never did come together because the EnVy early game is step number 1. If you're playing this team, that's the first thing that you're going to have to deal with to even get yourself towards that mid game where you get to pull off your comp.
And when you look at what happened with the Immortals side of things, they finished with 5 kills. 4 of those kills were on Smithy. He was 4-1 at the start of the mid game. He finishes the game 4-5, just showing how that Rek'Sai pick wasn't able to translate the lead that he had into something else. Very unfortunate for them. They still, of course, will have one more game to play this week. Both teams will. So we'll have to see if they can bounce back. But EnVy has got to be feeling good with the momentum that they got from a win here. They look like such a better team, so coherent, just like we heard the conversation from Seraph talking about, I want to play as a 5-man unit. That's what they did.
Yep, able to get multiple early Barons for themselves to shore up the 10 to 20 worry period.
Yeah, there were so many times in Spring Split you watch an EnVy game, and it's like, oh man, EnVy's doing so good. It's 15 minutes, they're on top of it. It's 20 minutes, they're great. Oh, it's 22 minutes, they gave a Baron away to the enemy team. What happened? But now they're giving the Barons to themselves, and they're just finishing these games, and they look good doing it.
Yeah, they get their early lead, push 2 lanes, Vision on Baron, and it's definitely a lot of good marked improvement for them. We'll see if they can continue it further into the split, though.
And you got to give credit, not just, I mean, we talk a lot about Lyra, and he is an insane jungler, but the rest of the guys on the team, talking about the bottom lane as well.
Sure.
We saw crazy plays from Apollo. We saw some great moves from Hakuo. All of them together, working together to make this happen. For a first-hand account on that series, though, we're going to hear from Riv and Team EnVy's bot laner.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great cast on the day. I am joined by the artist formerly known as Wiz Fusion. It's Apollo of Team EnVy. We're here. They just took down Immortals. And I got to ask you guys, or I got to ask you at least, as you're the only one up here. Coming into today, I think a lot of people expected Immortals to take this game. What was the mindset of EnVy?
I mean, I knew actually Immortals had like a really strong start in the week 1, so I knew they were going to be the harder match than TL. But yeah, I didn't really care. We just practiced, and I think we played really well as a team today.
And how is the communication going between the team? Because we heard there was a lot of communication between you and Hakuo, and it would be disjointed between the other members. How has that grown for EnVy?
Well, yeah, compared to last split especially, it's gone a lot better. And I felt like not only did our communication get better, it's just, I mean, along with the communication, our team play gets better, and I think it shows.
And on top of that, what, if you can kind of pinpoint a few things, is different for EnVy this season? Final question, why are you guys starting to surge, and how did you just take down Immortals?
The main thing that we focused on was just a lot of macro. Like, that was probably our worst thing that happened last split, is that when it came to like our early game, yeah, we did okay, but then after like the mid and late game, we just didn't know what we were doing, and so we really focused on that this split. And yeah, so I think the game's like a lot cleaner when we're ahead.
I'm sure the fans are happy to see the wins coming out in the beginning of the split. Congratulations on the win, and best of luck as EnVy goes on. We're going to throw it to the analyst desk to break down the rest of that game.
Thank you very much, Riv. And yeah, you got to say, you take an ex-StarCraft pro, put him as a coach, no wonder they've got good macro. Very different macro, to be fair. One's making units and one's taking barons at 25 minutes. But
yeah, macro StarCraft 2 was more APM.
A little different, but I wanted to make the joke all the same. So hey, a big win out of Team EnVy. 2-0 for them. They now join a large, or a growing list of 2-1 teams. They're there alongside Immortals here, and it was a good game for them.
And I think that's the big thing, is just it's kind of become more of a team effort. Like, Lyra still going crazy. He had, the excellent Nidalee game 1, this time on Lee Sin, great champ for him, but he has a lot more coming out of his supporting cast, especially as you go like a little bit later into the game. Wiz Fusion, Apollo, always love mixing those names up. He had a great game 1, and then this time around, Pyrian, in game 2, actually got involved in a lot of plays, even the early ones as well. So he has a much better late game to help out his great early game from the rest of his team.
Yeah, and as Apollo mentioned in the interview, better late game shot calling. So I did want to point out the fact that we got new Rek'Sai in the game. It was very exciting for me, and so I wanted to pull out some clips of Xmithie going well on it. And honestly, some of this was pretty good. Some of it was just, well, I'm a jungler in a fight.
Yeah, what was sad was we were both watching this play right here, and good collapse, get the first kill onto Sarah from the team, and then this is going to be the first time that we see the kill.
The first Rek'Sai ult of pro play.
Kill, and it goes 1 foot and kills Apollo. So not quite the most exciting.
With the killing shot in the air.
Yeah. So
and then snipes that one.
Yeah. So obviously not the greatest highlight package out of Rek'Sai. There's mixed opinions on it. A lot of people don't think it looks that great. There's obviously the statistics.
There's a few who like it.
There's a few people in high elo who like it, but it's still generally considered a little weak. Xmithie tried to make it work here, but even though I wouldn't say the pick's super strong, I don't think that was just the only problem on the side of Immortals at all.
No, I think that's completely true. And in fact, we saw some pretty bad team fighting from them. We've got a next clip, which is a big win for Team EnVy, where they actually end up getting, I believe it's 4 kills all across the map, starting with the top side.
And during this time, Lyra starts this one off. Probably have gotten a solo kill here. Seraph makes it a little dicey trying to get involved with this kill. Has to flash the Winds of War to get in range. And they are able to take down Flame. Seraph starts recalling because on the bot side of the map at the exact same time, there's a fight going on where IMT is trying to force on the weak side of the map. But Pyrian, like we said, has done a great job moving around the map, gets there in time to make this a 3-for-3. And obviously a mid-game Ahri is pretty strong, able to turn this one back in their favor. And then even though Pobelter kind of gets involved, fails to flash, can't get the damage quite where he wants it. And now he's in threat of getting chased down as the rest of Immortals, with those low cooldowns on Ahri and with that teleporting Seraph who finally recalled coming in.
Right, and this is probably supposed to be a good fight for Immortals with the fact that Lyra's up there alongside Seraph. This is supposed to be a 4v3, but as you mentioned before, Pyrian's the one roaming first. There's the chase down, the auto attack and a charm combo, the proper mechanics.
Bread and butter Ahri combos.
Bread and butter. Auto, land the charm, auto one more, get the kill with Thunderlords. And you can see that gold grab just And what's funny is it's not a game where it was a 17,000 gold in 20 minutes, which EnVy then tanked. It was a reasonably close game for the first 15 that they then snowballed off of. And that growth, like if you take old Team EnVy from Spring Split, and you give a macro like this where they're actually winning games from close ones, like this becomes an insanely scary team and one that fans can be really hopeful for.
I think for me, the thing for EnVy was that despite how good their early games were, you hear Apollo talk a lot about their macro, also their team fighting. They didn't know what were good engages to take and which ones weren't. This time, working much better as a unit. Part of that's just getting used to playing with each other, obviously, and I think part of it has to do with the champion pools changing as well. They're not as reliant on these wonky 1-3-1 crazy counter picks in top and mid. Their comps are a little bit more standard. Ziggs is not in the bot lane all the time, and so you can kind of match up with other teams because the players are plenty skilled enough. It was always getting on the exact same page and what they wanted to do.
Yep, so we're going to move on to player of the game, which will go to Lyra for the honors here on the Lee Sin. Did really, really well for himself. Of course, 6-0-10. Good KP, good everything. Honestly, he's a great Lee Sin player. No surprise.
It feels like almost any game you can pretty much give it to Lyra as long as he's performing like usual, which is basically player of the game status.
Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out to Pyrian because, like we said, getting early on those roams stops some of Lyra's plays from getting punished because while he's up on the top side, your bot lane might be exposed, but Pyrian kind of covers that and buys the team enough time to keep making these plays.
Yeah, absolutely the case. So great win by Team EnVy. Now let's pull up these standings as we close out the day. Cloud9 did get their win. They got that shot to their first one on the board by beating up Phoenix 1. And for the first time in about 11 months, Team EnVy have a winning match record. They are 2-1 for the first time they've been ahead since week 6 of last summer split. Maybe more good things to come. And of course, we'll be back tomorrow with more NA LCS action. Our coverage kicks off with Team Dignitas versus TSM, both at 1-1 on NA LCS 1. Then Immortals hope for a bit of a bounce back when they take on the winless FlyQuest in the battle arena afterwards. Meanwhile, on NA LCS 2, Gate and Echo Fox aim to defeat Huhi and Counterlogic Gaming, battle of 2-0 squads. And the Battle Theater will then host Team EnVy versus Team Liquid as EnVy look to maybe improve to 3-1 and be near the top at the end of that one. Now, for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching. We will see you tomorrow for more North American LCS. Good night.
Getting ready for now our first series here as North American Rift rival representatives Phoenix 1 and Cloud9 take to the stage. It is strange to think coming into this match that one of these teams are going to end the day at 0-3. He still has all that they needed, uses it there for the kill onto Zig, and the pressure to Honori here. Shady's looking to come in for the shields, but he's put himself in a bad situation. His Contract goes for the undertow kill, and Shady falls coming in for protection. Yeah.